Welcome to Life Gloss, a beauty podcast for sassy and seasoned women who have lived life and have a drawer full of lip gloss to prove it. We're your hosts, Susan Gerdeman
and Hillary Clark-Mina. Join us each Thursday as we discuss life and how it relates to the world of beauty inside and out. Susan, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Hillary.
I can't believe it's 2024. Have you gotten caught writing 2023 on anything yet?
I mean, I feel like I've written a check to somebody so far with a 2024 on there. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Thank goodness our audience, for the most part, still knows what checks are, because most people under 30 don't even know what we're talking about.
True. I know. I do. I still like to write a check. I really do.
I do too. I still have, my business account checks, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Why don't I cut you a check?
Right. It just always sounds so much more legitimate than let me Venmo you. Does not sound as legitimate.
No.
I mean, I do both. I mean, listen, all I do is like bleed money with children. So, it's like, I feel like whatever way I need to pay, I pay. But I don't know, writing 2024, just, yeah, it's crazy, but it's here and it's going to be good.
It's going to be good. Yes, it is. How was your holiday? I know you were traveling.
Our holiday was spectacular. This was the first trip for the family since the pandemic. And it was just a trip that I'm so grateful for. And we hit up Europe. We were in 3 countries. We went to see the grandparents. We just had a wonderful time. And I mixed a little bit of business with fun and made sure that I went into every duty-free, every beauty store, every department store. It was like the old days visiting accounts. And I dragged my poor daughter with me everywhere. And we just had a blast trying to find brands that are not available in the United States, trying to find brands that are different and unique. And I have to tell you, Hill, it's, getting so incredibly hard to find brands that are no longer available everywhere. Like it's almost more of a chase now to locate something that you can't get in the United States. So we managed to find a brand in Copenhagen that was a makeup artist brand. That was about it that we found. The rest of it, like London, Stockholm, it was like everything you could get here, you can get there. So it's the globalization of beauty is real. And it's happened, which is we can talk about this in another podcast. It's a good thing. And I believe it's a bad thing too. But I have to say the stores looked amazing. Everything was decorated for the holidays. The beauty business is just even bigger than I remember. Some of the stores like Harrods, Harvey Nicks, Liberty, the beauty halls, as they're called, Selfridges, of course, are just massive. I mean, massively overwhelming. And that was the one thing that I thought about. I thought about you a lot.
I know. I got all your text messages.
Yeah, I know, right? But the one thing I kept thinking of, Hillary, was, my God, has it gotten just too big? Like, I can't imagine walking in to one of these beauty halls and not knowing what I know. I think I would break down and cry. It is just so massive, so overwhelming. And it really made me think to myself, my God, this podcast is hopefully really going to help so many people demystify the beauty industry because it has become too big, dare I say.
It's absolutely true. Well, and we see from our listeners that reach out to us, I mean, we have hundreds and hundreds of people that reach out to us after every single episode asking us more questions. And it's true, as the world has gotten smaller because of social media, beauty has gotten bigger and it's become a little more confusing. And you don't have the uniqueness and the newness of the discovery of travel like you used to.
Yes. And I think too, to your point, I guess when I say it's gotten too big and, listen, there's room for everybody. And you know me, I'm like, oh, is this new? Is this new? I get so excited like a kid in a candy store. But I think it's just there's just so many brands. But to your point, is there or are there differences between these brands anymore? Is everything sort of starting to become the same? There's a huge sameness I'm seeing no matter where I went. To your point, we need more niche. We need more specificity in beauty.
Absolutely. And I see there's a lot of copycats. There's a lot of Me Too. You see a component that starts to trend, and then everybody's using the component. Everybody's doing a multi-stick because there's a new
Yep.
stick component that everyone uses, or they're
Yep.
just copycats. And
Yep.
we need to see more newness. But, what that brings us into, this is one of my favorite times of year because I'm not about making the resolutions. I'm more about breaking all the rules, breaking resolutions. And my big resolution for the new year is to go in and clean out my makeup drawers, my pro kits, my cabinets, fresh start, reevaluate where my skin is at. Because, as women that are over 40 into our 50s, our skin is ever changing. And this is a great time to look at pictures now that we've had so many from the holidays and say, gosh, what is going on with my skin? Who am I this year? What is the 2024 version of myself? And am I doing, a midlife upgrade, as one of my friends, Leah, likes to call it?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think less is definitely more. I only brought back 2 items in the beauty world from my trip.
Wow.
2 items, and both were replenishment products. So it's not that we need more. We just need to really streamline. I agree with you. I find that as I get older, I actually use less than I did when I was younger. And I'm not just talking makeup, I'm talking skincare. And I think nothing says fresh and young forever, including your makeup. So it's really important to check your products, check your skincare, check your makeup, and do that clean out. If anything's separated, if anything smells funny, just toss it. It's better to go with less than more, and make sure that what you're actually using, and that it's not expired, and it's not going to cause you any problems. So to your point, clean it out, get it out, start fresh. 2024, let's go.
Yep. Start fresh, be strategic, streamline. There's a major elegance to having an edited makeup bag and having an edited skincare collection.
Yeah.
It's very, very fresh. I love that. So on that note, of all the makeup products that are out there, foundation, foundation. It is the one item that can make you look fresh, rested, healthy, well cared for, vibrant, and alive. Or if it's the wrong formula or shade, or if it's now, today, as you've changed and your needs have changed, it's the wrong formula or shade, it can start making you look dull and tired. And I think so many of our listeners have had the experience of one day they put on a product that they've loved and relied on forever. And all of a sudden, we get notes saying, I look haggy, I look old, it's sitting in my lines, what's happened to me? And it's more about just changing your formula than being hard on yourself and your skin.
I have an even bigger question. Do we even need foundation? Especially if we've invested in really good skincare. I know that I put my money in my skincare, and I tend to also put, money into a good foundation. And we're going to talk about some different foundations that we like and why they are the prices that they are. But do we even need it? Do we have these choices as we get older? I tend to go, honestly, without foundation more than I do with foundation now. And I find that foundation in general can absolutely age me and make me look older. So I'll often just skip it.
It has definitely become am I going to do this today situation for me? It's definitely gone from being part of my everyday ritual to being something that is left out. I think that my foundation might be feeling a little lonely. I think she's been left out of the club for a while. Like you, I don't love the way that most foundation looks on my skin. At the same time, I'm taking much better care of my skin. So my
Yes.
skin looks better than it ever has, even with some of the fine lines, some of the wrinkles, some of the differences in texture that come along with menopause. but my radiance, my glow, and the health of my skin is far better than it ever was. So I tend to rely more on concealer and suedifying products, if you will,
Hmm. Hmm.
things to help refine pores that are almost invisible. And when I rely on a foundation, I do have a quote unquote foundation wardrobe. Of course, I've got my SPFs when I'm active, something sheer whenever I'm, out and about. I'm always, protecting my skin. But the wardrobe has narrowed and I now have key pieces, maybe something for evening, maybe
Right.
something if I'm particularly
Right.
dry, but I'm relying far more on color correction,
Yes.
using a little bit of anything that will make my skin glow without being glittery.
Mhm.
And I want to show off the skin I've worked so hard for.
Yeah, I have, the swimsuit foundations, the little black dress foundations, call them what you want, but we can definitely dive in and talk about our wardrobes and how we sort of think about foundation now. And the fact that foundation for me is about showing off my skin, but also to your point, adding ingredients. There's foundations now, that have these ingredients that actually help hydrate the skin. They help keep the skin protected. They have antioxidant componentry. These are products that actually make your skin look better. So I think the way we think about foundation has really changed a lot. It's not to cover, it's to enhance.
Precisely. And that's a bare minimum for me. I demand that all of my quote unquote foundation products have a skincare element. More than
Always.
just an SPF, they have to have
They have to.
active antioxidants. They have to have a ceramide, a peptide. I'm not really looking to pile on silicones and do
Right.
a lot of those things. I see it as a skincare. And for that reason, that's what I look for. I'm very discerning with the finish, how it feels, how it lays. I want something that floats on top of my skin,
Yes.
something that
Yes.
you can be close, close, close to me at lunch and leave thinking, gosh, she just looks so beautiful. And I don't mind if you see a little bit of an unevenness, maybe peeking through here or there. Maybe you can see a pore, but it looks real and it's healthy and it's glowing.
Yeah, you want to look like you have nothing on, is the goal with foundation. You want to look as, glowing and as fresh and as healthy. That's the one word in my mind is always healthy when I'm talking about foundation. And also, I think the shade range has changed for me. I know when I was younger, I tended to wear my foundations a lot lighter because that was the trend. Now, as I've gotten older, I tend to obviously match as close as possible, but sometimes go a half a shade darker to give me just a little bit more oomph, a little bit more color, to look like I have blood pumping through my veins, to look like I'm still alive, basically. And just by going that one hair deeper, not necessarily so much so that you would see a line of demarcation or anything, but just that moving over a little bit to slightly deeper gives you that instant glow, that instant pick me up. It's always better that way as we get older than going a little too light. That definitely can age you. So getting as close as you can to your natural complexion, but with that added little boost or that little glow, because that's really what we want. We want to just look like we have great, healthy skin.
That's absolutely it in a nutshell. And because we're not applying it heavily and we're not going as thick as we used to, and we're
Yes.
often not going all the way across the cheeks to the jaw, we don't have to worry about that line of demarcation. I'm going a little bit warmer. It's a
Yes.
cheat for me. And also because I get pink and I get, some redness, some pink, some blues,
Right.
going a little warmer helps to disguise that.
Yes.
So it really makes it easier for me to not have to rely on concealers and everything else. Because for me, what I do, I'll do anything on my blush, a stain, a peekaboo on my hydrated skin first. We're going to talk about blushes later, but I'll
Right.
put a blush on first, and
Right.
then if it's a stain, and then I'll,
Yes.
flutter in with a little bit of, the points that I want to, have a little bit more of a focus and or I want to correct.
Right.
So
And to your point, I don't think either of us are using foundation all over anymore. You really strategically put it in spots. So I just put the foundation wherever I want to cover, or just add a little bit of light under the eyes, down the center of the nose, top of the chin. Wherever the sun would hit me, I'm tending to just put my foundation and just putting it in spots. And you have to have an exact match to do it that way. You can't go too far off your color selection or you will see it. So just putting it sporadically in little areas where you need the coverage and blending it out is a really fresh, modern way of wearing foundation. And it's something I definitely recommend as we get older.
yes, and for the people that are listening and thinking, wait, pump the brakes. What about my contour? What about my highlight? I do all of these things. How do I do all these things? Well, we're going to tell you a little something right now. If you're not erasing your face with foundation that you probably don't need because you're not doing this on social media, you are still going to have the natural highlights and the contours. You're going to need to contour and highlight far less, if at all, because you're not erasing your face.
Exactly.
So that's a big difference. And it's interesting, even for evening, so many times people think, oh, well, I need a heavier foundation. I need to wear more for evening. What I have found looks best is I'll do some facial massage, I'll do some sort of a deep hydrating mask. I get my skin ooey and gooey and delicious and hydrated up to an hour before I'm going to be going anywhere. And then I will go in with a little corrective concealer, inner outer corner of my eyes, around my nose where I need it. If I need to, I will then go in with a light foundation or a concealer to highlight.
Right.
Maybe I'll pop a touch of a contour, and then I might just dust a loose powder in the center of the face, or I'll just use a blurring cream. I'm
Mhm.
finding that for evening, I'm not using foundation at all. I'm using strategically placed concealer, a highlighter, maybe a bronzer, and I'm letting my skin shine, which
Yeah.
is unheard of. I know it's crazy, but it works and it's so young looking.
I think it works extremely well. And I tend to do the same thing in the evening. I think the evening is a lot more forgiving than day. Always remember that. Your lighting in a lot of these restaurants, or if you go out at night or you're at someone's house, the lighting is a lot more forgiving. It tends to be a little darker. So you really don't have to pile on that foundation. So I'm like you, Hillary. I tend to, if I am going to use a foundation, it's probably more during the day if I have a meeting or if I have something I need to do that's like serious and I need to like feel my best, I'll probably wear a little bit more foundation during the day. And at night, it's all about the glow. I love a facial oil. I love a glow serum. I love adding all that and then just a little blush. And then, like you said, strategically placing on the contours of the face little bits of foundation where I need it. And at night, it almost gives this candle like ethereal glow to your skin that's so beautiful and so fresh and really young looking. So, for our listeners, if you have to pick a time period as you get older to really work foundation, I say keep it more for the daytime. And you'll also get those benefits of a natural SPF in any foundation, and you'll get the protection that you want. And maybe play around with using less or very little foundation in the evening. And it's so funny because it used to be, oh, nighttime makeup, way more makeup, pack on the foundation. We get like a trowel out and like tack it on. But as you get older, it's almost like I want to say in makeup, do everything opposite as you mature from what you did when you were younger and have that in your head as you're applying your makeup. And I think you'll get a much fresher, younger look. So try it. Listeners, let us know what you think. Try less is more foundation at night and tell us what you think.
Yeah, let us know. It's very rebellious, but it's
Yes.
chic. It's chic. It's
Yeah.
devil may care. It's kind of like
Yeah.
wearing a sheer blouse without a bra.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
very, very modern. It's
Yeah.
elegant and
It's
it's
like
very
rebel makeup.
confident. It's
Yes, it's
very
very
confident.
confident. And Hillary, we hear it all the time. There's nothing more beautiful than a confident woman. And I wholeheartedly believe that. to, put on a mask and then put on a little face moisturizer, put on a highlight cream, and toss on a hot pink lipstick and hit the night on the town. That to me just says confidence. That says, I know who I am. I have nothing to prove. I don't have to wear 53 shades of eyeshadow and, lashings of false eyelashes. And listen, if you want to do that, it's great. Go for it. It's super fun. I love it too. But honestly, if I get a date night with my husband, it's like, let's go, make sure I've got some moisturizer on, toss on a lipstick, toss on something cute, and I'm out the door. I don't have that luxury of time like I used to spend hours painstakingly in front of the mirror applying all that makeup to go out, right? And I just think you just look so much younger and you just feel so much more confident.
Yeah, I feel fierce. I feel very fierce with a very naked, almost French face.
Me
Definitely.
too. Me too.
Wow. Well, now that our listeners know how we really feel.
Right. And how rebellious we really are.
Yes.
Oh my God, they go out at night without foundation. They're wild.
It's hysterical, isn't it? Oh, how things change.
I know.
It's wild. But one of the things that we can touch on for people that are thinking, okay, well, you guys have given us all of this big, vague information, but what do we do? The first thing you want to look at is look at finish and texture. Your skin changes. Look at it in a lot of different lights. Try foundations in a lot of different lights. We will talk about a few of our personal favorites here, but get samples. Go to the Sephora, go to Ulta, go to Neiman's, go to Saks, go to, all of the different places and get samples. Or even if you want to go in with clean skin, try 3 or 4 on in different areas of your face. Who cares what it looks like? Wear it out. Check it out in all the mirrors. And I think that's a really important thing to do because foundations are an investment. Susan and I, we talk about this all the time, the fact that we have a hard time with drugstore or mass foundations. We feel like it's an area that you get what you pay for, and it is an area that you want to spend. So test drive them before you commit, and texture and finish.
Don't be afraid to ask for samples. Hillary and I both worked in this industry for so long that we can tell you every single counter that you go to, every single reputable makeup store, counter, wherever you are, will have samples. If they don't have pre-made, they have testers. They have little jars. You can get samples. Do not let someone gatekeep the samples because, to Hillary's point, you're paying a lot of money for a foundation. And it's the one thing that you want to get right. So when you're in the store, the best thing to do is always test 3. One that you think is too light, one that you think is just right, and one that you think might be too dark. Take 3, swipe it on the jaw to the neck. It's really the best place to do it. Give it about 60 seconds to oxidize. If you can get to a door with some light, with a mirror, take a look, blend it out, and then you select the one that's closest or disappears on the skin. That's the general rule of testing foundations for any makeup artist out there working today. What you want to do then, though, is if you're uncertain between a couple of different colors, get samples of those shades. Don't buy it right then and there. Go back and say, I think this one works. I think this one might. Let me sample these 2. Get the card or the number or the name of the person that you're sampling from, because a lot of these people work on commission, and go home with the samples, try them in different lights. To Hillary's point, daytime, afternoon light, different parts of the face, and then go back and purchase, if you liked it, the foundation from that person. That's the 101 of how to purchase a foundation.
Thank you, Susan. 100%. And if you can, not only try 2 colors, if you need to, sometimes it's a slam dunk, which one it is, try 2 to 3 formulas as well. So It's okay to counter hop. If you're in a department store, get the card, get the name, make friends with the person, and just let them know, hey, it's 2024. I am looking for my person in this department that I come to for everything.
Yes.
And I would love to take your information. I will be back. I'm building my new beauty wardrobe for 2024 and I
Right.
want to do it smart.
Yeah. And foundation is something that is so personal and you want it to work with your skin type, your skin texture. You want to get the color right. You want to get the formula right. And it's a big purchase. And just know that when you do find something you love, don't be afraid to buy one shade for that is maybe slightly lighter, or an exact match in the winter, fall months. And then you might want to get that same formula if you love it that much in one or half a shade darker. And that can be your summer, spring, because you will start to, over time, build that little wardrobe of a few different formulations. And you'll reach for different formulations based on how your skin is acting and also based on the climate you're in. If you're in a hot climate, you're not going to have a full coverage foundation, or you're not going to want one. If it's winter, maybe you want to make sure you're not using a matte. So take a look at seasons, climate, daytime, different products match different seasons and different times of the year and your different skin concerns. And that's what we mean when we talk about a wardrobe. So you're probably going to end up with at least two different foundations. I would imagine every woman needs at least a couple to get through the different seasons and the different times of year and their different skin concerns.
Right. And you don't have to buy them right out of the gate. You might buy one
Correct.
in January, you buy one in June,
Yep.
July. The
Yep.
expiration dates are going to overlap and you can mix them in between
Yes.
seasons if the textures are different and you want something in between. Just because they're in different bottles, even if they're different brands, you can mix them. It is
Oh,
not, you do not have to be
yes.
crazy about that at
And
all.
that's something else too, Hillary. We should mention, you made me think of it when you were talking about different shade ranges and going across the different brands within a foundation group of a brand. Be careful. Not all the numbers match up. I know it drives us all crazy, but they don't. So if you wear, like, say, like a number 6 in the matte formula of a brand, you might not be a number 6 in their hydrating formula in the same brand. So just be careful when you're testing. Write down the formula and the name and write down the number or the level or whatever it is on the foundation, because unfortunately, they don't all match. You can't just say, oh, in brand A, I'm number 6, and you're going to be that in all the formulas. It would be so great if it was that easy, but it's not.
Is anybody listening out there?
Yeah,
Brands,
right?
can you hear us? Can you
It's
hear us,
not.
brands?
Yeah.
But sometimes, to their credit, they do the best they can, but it's a
Yes,
finished thing. It's a finished
correct.
thing.
It is.
The
It's a
finish
finish.
changes
It's
it.
a
But
finish
yeah,
thing. So let's talk about some of our favorites. Do you want to? I mean, now that we sort of talked about selecting shade ranges and wardrobes and all the different formulas, and it's a lot of information in a short amount of time, but I think we have some favorites that we tend to like, and maybe some of our listeners will like them too.
yes, we can give them point them in some general directions. So, and give them some ideas.
Yeah. So for me, we've always broken down our podcast up until this point into mass and class. For me, in going through the different foundations and knowing we were going to be doing this episode, I was thinking, what mass brand foundations have I used or can I recommend or have I used on clients? And I have to be 100% transparent and honest. I've yet to find one that I can recommend that I use or that I like. So what I did instead was I thought to myself, well, if someone is looking for something within that mass world, the best I can go or the closest I can go that I feel good about is a masstige. And that is sort of that combination between a mass product and a class product. And it tends to be at a more comfortable price point, not as high end or not a drugstore. And for me, that product is the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue. It's one that's been around forever. And I stumbled back upon this because when we were getting ready to go on our vacation, I took a look at which brands had travel sizes of different foundations, and Bare Minerals had a travel size. And I thought, you know what? I haven't used them in 20 years. I'm going to try it. So I got the tinted hydrating cream. It's a gel cream. And I remembered it. And I actually remembered they had my shade. And I was floored. It is such a gorgeous gorgeous, lightweight, hydrating cream gel foundation. They make a travel size. I think if you want to try the travel size, and they do make a larger size. It's a great price point, mid range, wonderful foundation for something that's just easy, lightweight, light coverage, and the shade range is incredible. So hats off. I think they're killing it. I think they're really doing a great job.
I'm glad you reminded me of that one. I had completely forgotten about that little treasure. And Tiffany Kilgore was their national makeup artist forever,
Yeah,
introduced me to them, and she'd given me one. And I popped into my little retains and pulled it out. And well, you're speaking
it's
the truth, lady. It's a good
it's
one.
it's really good. It's an oldie, but a goodie. So,
Yeah.
I have to tell you, I wore it the whole time I was in Europe, and it doesn't flake. It just makes your skin glow. I don't feel like I have anything on. I have to tell you, it's an oldie, but a goodie, and I love it. I really love it.
And the SPF 30,
Yeah,
massive
doesn't
bonus.
hurt. I mean, it was so easy. And actually, the travel size, for those of you that are thinking, well, how long would it last? I was gone for almost 2 weeks and I still have some left. I still have like a lot left. So I think that travel size could maybe last you a month.
That's great.
Pretty good.
Fabulous.
Loved it.
Love a little saving tip and yeah,
Yeah.
get in the minis. Always,
Yeah.
always love a mini. Always love a
Me
mini.
too. Me too.
Uh, I must say, Susan, I'm with you when it comes to struggling to find the mass. I always want to, speak to the person that is putting their money elsewhere in beauty. They're investing in their skincare, they're investing in their mascara, they don't want to invest in their foundation. I can't wholeheartedly say that I love anything in mass. However, if you are someone that likes to wear a foundation, especially if you're still wearing foundation all over, or if you have hyperpigmentation, some redness, problematic skin, and what we're saying about just using it here and there where you want to isn't realistic for you, and you don't want to break the bank, L'Oreal True Match is great. If you can't afford the Fenty or you don't want to afford the Fenty that gives you the
Yep.
40 shades, L'Oreal does a great job with the True Match. And that's because most foundations only use red, black, white, and yellow pigments to formulate. And True Match also uses blue. So for the
Yes.
really hard to match skin tones and undertones, they have done an absolutely beautiful job. So
Hmm,
there's a place in my heart for them for that reason.
that's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. But going on to others that I love, and because I always look to find skincare in my foundation, and because when I wear foundation, I'm doing it during the day, I want something that either is going to be skincare rich, SPF rich, or both. When I'm having just, a very sheer French face, didn't bother much, just even it out. I'm in love with Typology, the French brand, beautiful skincare elements, really pretty, pretty finish. It does not have an SPF. You can mix it into anything you want. I love that one. And
Yeah.
then when I know that I need my sun SPF coverage, of course, the Tower 28 Sunny Days.
Right.
It's hydrating. I can get as much or as little out of it as I want. It's
Yeah.
always going to glow. It's going to give me what I want there.
Yeah. Speaking of the wanting to wear nothing, on days that you just want a little something, something, but you don't want a foundation, and you're talking about the typology, you really love that. The one that I really like a lot is by Lancer, obviously a skincare brand, dermatologist skincare brand, but he makes a product called Danny Glow that I love. And it's really no coverage. I'm not going to tell you it has any coverage. It really doesn't. But what it does is it gives a glow, it evens you out, and it gives a boost of color. It can be worn alone, under, on top, or mixed in with a foundation. So I keep it in my foundation wardrobe to mix, play around with, just wear alone. And it feels so good. And I love it for days where I just want nothing, but I want to look really like fresh and
And
extra.
how do you spell that, Susan? Danny Glow?
Danny Glow, Dani.
Okay,
It's
like
called
the name.
Danny Glow.
Okay, cool. I
Danny
love that.
Glow. I think he made it for his wife, which I love.
Hmm.
I love, I'm such a sucker for a story like that. But I think he made it for his wife because he believed that, her skin was so beautiful, but she wanted, like us, like a little something, something to add and just add a glow and look beautiful that had skincare benefits. So if you hate foundation, but want just a little something, something, I think the Lancer Danny Glow is a great product for that too. Doesn't have an SPF, so make sure to wear your SPF. What about on the class brands or when we want to bring out the big guns or we need some coverage or we're having a day that we want to wear a lot of foundation? I have two that I like. What are you liking?
When I feel like I need to have a very polished, more of a done look, like when I need to lady who lunches in the beauty industry, or when I'm presenting or when I'm speaking, I will then go into my YSL or into my NARS that gives me a little bit of a glow. They have a new formula that's beautiful. But I will tell you, I still don't like the feel of foundation on my skin, but when I
Hate it.
demand more coverage or I need it, I have a trick for you guys. And this is something that I've been doing. I take the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter and I mix it with Westmore Beauty's body makeup.
Okay.
Westmore just came out with a version for the face. I have not tried it yet,
Oh, I
but
saw that.
Yeah, Westmore's body, and I use this on set for my clients
Okay.
all the time.
Yeah.
And it just gives me more coverage. It dries down, it will
Mm,
not budge. It looks
okay.
like skin. And
Okay.
because I've added a little schlitter into it, it
Right.
gives it a little glow. So when I need
Nice.
more, you know, that's where I go. I don't go for the Lauder,
Right.
double wear, which is a beautiful foundation.
That is a beautiful foundation. We have to give a moment of props for that. For people who really do need or feel they need a real coverage, the double wear is sort of a very old school classic foundation in that sense. The other one that I always run for if I'm looking for a classic foundation that just really works on everybody, but also if I need to have a full coverage day for whatever reason, is the Armani Luminous Silk. That is just such a classic. It's a great foundation, great shade range. It's kind of in everybody's kit because it's really great. But my favorite for a classic foundation these days that I only wear in spots, I don't like it all over, is the Chanel Le Beige Water Fresh Complexion Touch. Technically, I think they're marketing it more as a spot foundation or as a concealer foundation. It's definitely a fuller coverage, but it looks and feels like you have nothing on your skin. So Chanel still needs to work on their shade range. They always will. But generally speaking, they do a beautiful foundation.
That is a beautiful foundation. And I love it when I accidentally pump a little too much and it dries out a bit, and then I can use it as a concealer too. So,
Exactly.
oh,
Exactly.
I feel
I
I feel
know.
like we've
Oh,
really covered the world of foundation here.
we
We've
we could
covered all
build
the bases.
we could build an entire house now. I mean, we really like hit it on this one, It's like here's your foundation, now here's your mansion on top of it. But I know we covered so much. We really did. And I think if anybody has questions, they can find us, right?
Yes, well, we would love to know what foundations you, our listeners, are using. So let us know on our website at life-gloss.com. You can also comment. We have comments turned on underneath all of the podcasts. We read them, we get back to you. We love communicating with you. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram at Life Gloss Podcast. And come back next Thursday as we get a little cheeky.
Ooh.
And I know we're going to get a little cheeky. Cheeky Mama is the name of our upcoming episode. And we're going to gloss up about blush tips for mature skin, creme versus powder, the gels, the shade choices, placement. There's been a huge debate on
Mhm.
high, close to the eye, apple of
Oh,
the cheek, lift your face, sculpting tips, contouring crimes. We're going to do all of it. All of it
I
is
love
happening
it.
next Thursday.
Well, don't forget to follow us on all of our social media channels, communicate with us, and stay glossy.
Stay glossy.